Developing today, growing fury about Meghan Markle's bid to overshadow Trooping the Colour after deciding to be honoured at LA's Natural History Museum gala on exactly the same day. Now, lots of people saying, what the hell is she being honoured for? That is a very good question. Ray Millard's source, who's been doing lots of good work on this, posted, for those wondering why Ms. Markle has been honoured, her longtime attorney, Rick Jeno, is the co-chair of the gala, which makes sense. But Lady Colin Campbell, this is increasingly now being described as Sussex distraction techniques. Anytime there is a major set piece event for the British royal family, they will do whatever they can to steal the headlines. And of course, it feels particularly grim doing this on Trooping the Colour, which is such an important day for the British royal family over summer, at a time when actually there aren't all that many major events. So there was no need for Harry and Meghan to take part, or for Meghan to be honoured on this particular night. And of course, Lady C, we hear that she is intending to speak at the event. Do you think she'll achieve what she wants? Do you think she will overshadow Trooping the Colour?
Dan, may I make a point in favour of Meghan, if I may?
Please.
She is not the person who would have chosen the date for that event. Her choice was to accept the invitation. Or not. Now, she is a publicity whore, and she is a fame fiend. So, of course, she was going to accept it. I think insofar as she's concerned, it's a happy accident that it falls on the same day as Trooping the Colour. Except remember, there is an 8-hour time difference between England and California. So right there, even though both events are ostensibly on the same day, they're actually not coincidental. The one is taking place way before the other. Also, Trooping the Colour is in the day, in the morning, while her event is going to be in the evening. So the coincidence is actually more apparent than real. But I think the newspapers and the media will be delighted that Meghan has dished up yet another feast for them to have a go about. So I don't think the media are going to be complaining about this. And yeah, she does do anything you can do, I can do better. And she's in constant competition with the royals. But the longer this goes on, is the more, I don't know if you've noticed it, but she and Harry get less and less attention. They no longer swamp the royals. The media will avail themselves of both fish and fowl at the same time without having to choose one over the other. And I think that it actually, if you stop to think of it, works in favor of the media, because they have content to fill, and Meghan is providing.
This is where it gets wild. According to reports, Prince Harry once wanted to ditch the Windsor name altogether, in favor of his mother's family name, Spencer. Now let that sink in. One of the most historically royal surnames, abandoned, for a new identity that just happens to sever all ties to the crown. Why? To please Meghan. And this wasn't just symbolic. It was a reported deep-seated desire during his exit planning. Meghan, of course, loves the Diana connection, but not the royal baggage. So what better way to start fresh than rebranding your husband?
Yes, but I think you make a good point, because actually For example, when Prince Harry attempted to overshadow his father's speech to the Canadian Parliament with this visit to China, and he sort of gave a very provocative speech, actually, no one really cared. And all anyone was saying about Prince Harry was, gosh, why are you going to China? Lady C, the other big moment of the week, which I've been absolutely desperate to talk to you about, is this name change. Prince Harry considering changing his name to Spencer after discussions with Princess Diana's brother, Charles Spencer. This all leaked to the Daily Mail via a friend of Prince Harry. What's going on here? Is this just a bid for Harry to hurt his father?
I think it's basically a cover-up, and I think if you examine what's really gone on, and I think there's also an element of spite to it. And again, it comes back to Harry and Meghan understand that they are that the walls are closing in on them, and they are trying to preempt their responsibility for their actions being placed at their doorstep. And Harry has been stupid enough to make it clear that this name change idea came about because the passport office was dragging its heels for 6 months about providing passports for those children with HRH as a part of their style. And Harry is basically saying, well, if my children cease being HRH, I'm going to make us no longer Windsor or Mountbatten Windsor. We're going to be Spencer. Well, that would mean that they were no longer HRH. But Harry can change the children's surnames or his own surname, because anybody in this country has the right to change their surname, including members of the royal family. For instance, Princess Anne is Windsor by surname originally, but she's not Windsor by surname now. She's Lawrence by surname, not that she ever uses a surname. So you can keep your title and change your surname. The Dukedom of Northumberland is really Smithson, not Percy. The Dukedom of Norfolk was originally Howard. Then when they were FitzAlan, they re-added on the Howard to the name so that they became FitzAlan Howard. The Bowes-Lyon family, the Earls of Strathmore, they were originally just Lyon. Then in, I think it was the 18th century, one of them married the Bowes heiress, who was tremendously rich. So the deal was that the family would add Bowes to the surname, but they still remained Earls of Strathmore, and they were then Lyon Bowes. But they then, when that went on for a while, and they realized, because the surname Lyon always meant far more than the surname Bowes, which was actually an illegitimate name. It wasn't even a legitimate name. They switched it to become Bowes-Lyon, because in aristocratic circles, if you have a double-barreled name, you're very often known by the last part of it, not the first part of it. So there are many precedents for people with titles changing the surname, but the peerage remains intact. So all of this is Harry baby throwing his rattle out of the crib
Mm.
because he didn't like what was going on. And he's basically saying, well, you see, Daddy, I can change my name and I'm going to become Spencer and I'm going to spite you. Yeah! Ridiculous.
Totally.
But
Totally.
it also shows the guy's obviously totally drug addled
Mm.
because even that is the conduct of even a fool. That is the conduct of a drug-addled fool.
Now, here's where things escalate. One commentator called Prince Harry's behavior totally drug-addled. And look, we're not here to diagnose. But this claim isn't coming out of nowhere. Harry has openly discussed his past drug use, cocaine, psychedelics, even guided therapy sessions. But combine that with this desperate bid to reinvent himself, by dropping the royal name, distancing from his family, and reshaping himself to fit Meghan's world, and yeah, people are worried. They are not seeing a man finding himself, they are seeing a man losing himself. Let's be real, no one's saying Meghan forced him to change his name. But the influence is obvious. From royal walkouts to Netflix tell-alls, Meghan has shaped every major turn in Harry's post-royal journey. And now? Reports say she preferred the Spencer name because it evokes Diana, not Charles, not the monarchy, and certainly not the Windsors. This isn't just identity politics, it's identity erasure. And if Harry's going along with it? That's not partnership. That's codependence.
So right. What about Meghan Markle's role in this, Lady C? Because I just wanted to show you, it was interesting, the Daily Mail quoted Tom Bower in their story, but what they failed to mention is it was actually Tom Bower making this revelation first on my old show on GB News. So we're talking about a good couple of years ago now. His contention, Lady C, is that this has been driven by Meghan Markle. Watch this and I'll get your response off the back.
That her real object in life was to be Diana. That has always been her passion. That has also been Harry's passion. And Meghan went to the extent of suggesting that they should drop the name Windsor and take the surname Spencer. So she'd be Meghan Spencer, the new Diana. And
so this is a plan that they have actively discussed?
They've actively discussed it, not only by themselves, but with others too. This isn't something that's plucked only in their minds. They were actively trying to recast themselves as Diana and Meghan Spencer. And that is...
So he would go from Harry Windsor to
Harry Spencer too, his mother's name.
But that would be a devastating
blow
it was,
but that is
his father.
Absolutely, it's all about the break-off. And they also have given up the Sussex title because you've got the new incarnation of Diana.
So, ladies, that was Tom Bower a couple of years ago.
I'm afraid I don't buy it, I'm sorry. I don't buy it any more than I would buy that Diana was eager to return to Spencer, which she certainly wasn't. Diana moved heaven and earth to remain Princess of Wales, and managed to achieve that. No, I'm not saying that they didn't, that Meghan in some crazy inept, Birkenhead, where's the baby? Is the baby between her legs at that point? Sorry, I missed it. Meghan's baby bumps do perform in the most bizarre ways, don't they? No, I think it's much ado about nothing. I think it's always been much ado about nothing. I think it's again, I would come back to this. To me, is drug-addled behavior, and I don't care who came up with it. It's the typical drug-addled behavior, and I don't care when they came up with it. It's, again, I'm going to spite you. I'm going to show you that I don't need blah, blah, blah. But, I mean, let's remember, Meghan is the woman who said, my children don't need titles. Titles don't matter to me. But of course, you better make sure that they're called Prince and Princess. And she complained to Oprah about them not being given their titles because of the color of their skin, blah, 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 all of which was rubbish. I think it's clutching at straws. And I don't think any of it is actually serious. And I don't think either Harry or Meghan ever would have intended for any of it to be serious. Just as how Diana knew stepping up from being Spencer to Windsor was a tremendous promotion, and she made sure she kept that intact. I think Harry and Meghan, I mean, Meghan is a great denialist, like all true phonies. She has denial down pat. So she denies that which you and I know she is actually, well, she should be confirming. And I honestly do not think that either of them would voluntarily give up the name Windsor, nor would they give up a title. And I mean, to suggest that Harry and Meghan were ever willing to give up the dukedom of Sussex is actually, I mean, Harry himself said to Anderson Cooper, who mooted the subject of him giving up the title, that he wouldn't. And more or less said, well, why would I? What's it going to accomplish? I mean, yeah, Harry, what it would have accomplished is that you would then have been Mr. Henry Windsor. But I mean, he's not eager to become Mr. Henry Windsor. And nor is she eager to become Mrs. Henry Windsor, or even worse, Mrs. Henry Spencer. I think we need to focus invented noise that they come up with.
The backlash has been intense. People are calling it a betrayal, not just of his family, but of the legacy he was born into. The monarchy isn't a brand you can just untag yourself from like an Instagram post. It's bloodline. It's duty. It's history. And what message does this send to his children? That being royal is something to be ashamed of? That the name Windsor is toxic? The irony? The Sussex brand only exists because of that royal link. At the end of the day, this isn't about names. It's about identity, legacy, and the unraveling of a man who once symbolized honor and service. Prince Harry is becoming harder and harder to recognize, and not because he's grown, but because he's disappearing.